Good morning, explorers, and happy Monday, and welcome back to another episode of More to Explore. Seeing everybody in chat, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you happen to may be. My name is Brian Bird, and I'll be your co-host today, along with Explore.org's resident naturalist, Mike Fitz. Mike, good afternoon.
Hey, good day, everybody. Yeah, no matter where you happen to be around the world. And if you're new to Explode.org, welcome to the community. And of course, welcome back to all of our longtime viewers. Explode.org is the world's largest live nature cam network. We have a lot to talk about today, Brian, but of course, we always want to invite our audience to put comments and questions in the chats. We'll be looking for them during the broadcast today.
Definitely. And coming up today, we are so excited to introduce our new cams featuring black and brown bears. And of course, the stars of the show showed up just in time. This is the live feed that we're looking at right
Hmm.
now. But also today, we're going to look at Amma the puffling's incredible journey and highlight all of the upcoming events and cams that you don't want to miss this week. But Mike, I have to ask, how excited are you to have more bear cams?
Oh, it's awesome. I love all types of bears. Black bears I are are particularly fascinating. They're really adaptable. They're the most numerous bear uh, on the planet, most numerous in North America, certainly, but they outnumber all other bears by if you were just to look at the number of individuals. So they're intelligent, they're adaptable, they're beautiful animals just to look at, really powerful and strong, just like our brown bears that maybe many of us who watch Exploded.org are more familiar with. And our experiences watching bears on Exploded.org open windows into the bear world. We can better understand how they make a living, the challenges they face. We can consider their individuality. We never had a great opportunity to consider how those things apply to North American black bears, though. So the newest member of the Exploded.org webcam community comes to us from the Tongass National Forest, which is North America's largest temperate rainforest. Among its many wonders is Anan Creek, where black and brown bears work to satisfy their profound hunger by fishing for salmon. So if you're a fan of the brown bears in Katmai National Park, then you'll enjoy getting to know the bears of Anan Creek. And somebody actually already asked a question about the Anan cams and the bears there. Somebody was wondering what kind of salmon are these bears catching currently? Well, to introduce Anan Creek and also answer that question for everybody, we have an interview that we're going to share. I spoke with Claire Froelich, who is an interpretation and education specialist with Tongass National Forest in Alaska. So here's our conversation. Claire, welcome to Explore.org. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited to have these cameras at Anan Creek because now Explode.org has cameras with all three North American bear species. But Anan Creek is special for a lot of different reasons. It's particularly well known because it has both black and brown bears fishing there for salmon. So I'm curious to know about the interactions between those two bears. How does the presence of brown bears affect the black bears and vice versa?
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. It depends on honestly each brown bear and each black bear. You can see a lot of the times black bears will start to move off up the trail or out of the way, and then you don't know why. Then all of a sudden you'll see a brown bear come out, and then it makes sense why all the black bears disappeared. But sometimes you'll see black bears who will just get a little wary and hold their position around the creek or around the fishing hole, even though there is a brown bear around. But they might, as the brown bears might get closer to the black bears will get more hesitant and usually move away or take off if the brown bear gets too close. It is pretty interesting to watch black bears suddenly realize that there is a brown bear nearby,
Hmm.
as you can see their thought process of them deciding what they should do. Last year, there was a little black bear that got stuck in one of our fishing caves down at Anan Creek, and a bigger brown bear decided to fish right in front of the little cave, and the black bear was stuck in that cave for about a couple hours, and you could see its nose poke out and see and peek to see if that black bear was still there. And it was stuck in that cave for a very long time until the bigger brown bear finally was finished eating at the creek, and then it left. But it's very cool to see the different interactions between all of the bears because of the high amount of food and the salmon stream. There's so many bears, and obviously brown and black bears that you'll see. Some of them, this younger, like juvenile brown bears, maybe are not as aware of their enormity, and so they sometimes can get a little spooked by some of the older, more seasoned, bigger black bears like the mamas, and they sometimes will get spooked, and then they'll realize, oh wait, I'm a brown bear, and then they'll make their way back down to the fishing hole, and they're a little bit more territorial than the black bears for sure. So, but it's really cool to see them all interact together because it is a very unique situation.
Of course, you mentioned that they're there for food. So, what species of salmon are the bears fishing for, and how long do the runs last?
Yeah, so the species of salmon, there's all 5 species that the Anan Creek does get, although for the most part, it is all pink salmon, which we call humpies. They're called humpies because the males, during the later part of the season, they get a little like hump on their back, which is almost like a little handlebar for the bears to like grab them out of the stream. But the Annan Creek is one of the largest pink salmon runs in Southeast Alaska, and during the peak when time of salmon stream, when there's tons of salmon going down, and the bears are very busy catching all the fish, you'll start to see the bears become actually pretty selective with the bears they eat and catch. They specifically like to eat the parts of fish that are most meaty, like most fatty and meaty. So that would be the brains, stomach, and bellies, brains, and roe. So you'll see piles of dead fish on the sides with just their brains nibbled out, or like the bellies. And even when there's so many fish in the stream, you'll see bears grab a fish, put it in its mouth, and just let it go back into the water. Give it a little like nibble, taste it, and they realize, you'll be like, why did it just spit out a perfectly good fish? It's usually because it's a male and they can taste that there's no roe and it's not as fatty. And because there's so many fish and an overabundance, they can choose the better ones that they'd rather eat. So yeah, there's lots of piles of fish along the stream, and it kind of gets a little bit potent at times, but that's the bears are feasting for sure. And the run lasts about the same time as the permit season, so from July 25th to about August 25th, give or take a couple of days on each end as well.
Well, the behavior of the bears that you described sounds just like what we see brown bears doing at Brooks River when they are really well fed. I'm going to be interested to watching the cameras more to get that comparison. There's you mentioned how earlier brown and black bears fishing at the creek, and we know that bears are individuals. They make individual decisions, and they make a living in different ways. So there's a lot of bears that fish at Anan Creek, but are there particular bears who maybe you find their stories interesting?
Oh yeah, no, there is definitely a community of fans of Anan bears, and I'm definitely included in that group. But there's a lot of very popular bears that have come back year after year, where we've got visitors who definitely keep track of them, as well as guides and employees who work at the site. One of our more popular bears is named Scuba Sue, and she is a super like popular and well-known bear because most bears do not like to get their ears wet. That's just known as like watching their behavior. Whereas Scuba Sue likes to fully dive into the water and disappear into the creek as she's diving or fishing for some salmon, and then she'll pop up again and she completely disappears. And she's a pretty big black bear, but she is used to doing that, and she's done it for a couple years now. She's actually old enough now that she's brought her cub Bullseye, who it also comes often around and fishes around the deck as well. And he has very similar traits to his mother of also diving in and getting his ears wet, which is pretty cool. So it's fun to see how the next generation is somewhat influenced by the fun characters the fun bears we have. So it's pretty fun, but she's back and forth, and as she's grown up and as Bullseye's grown up, we've seen her come back. This year she came back with 2 cubs, the beginning of the season, but unfortunately the rangers at Anan have not been seeing the cubs show up with them as with Scuba Sue. They don't know really what happened, but it's kind of sad to see that. But we have seen other bears become a little bit more habitually okay with their ears getting wet, which we all take credit to Scuba Sue. Another one of our very popular bears is Arrow. He is an older bear we've seen for many years at Anam. He was injured in a fight a couple of years ago with another one of our bears called Tatona. Oh my gosh, Toka in 2019, where he Arrow got his leg dislocated. And to this day, you'll see him every season come back and walk the trails, come down from the foliage, the greenery, where it's very thick. And then all of a sudden, it's like a wall of green brush and tall trees. And then all of a sudden, it's the deck, and then it goes down into the creek. And you'll see Arrow walk out year after year, day after day. And he's got a little limp to his leg due to the dislocation in 2019. So he will kind of wiggle around, and you'll kind of notice that he doesn't like to put a lot of weight on that foot either, but he will if needed or necessary. A lot of people who come and look at the bears and who are visitors and guides and everyone included have been in the past been really worried about him, and they're like, oh no, how like surprised that he comes back every year. But actually Arrow is one of our most frequent attended bears at Anan. He is there almost every day. And last year I'll get a little backstory on this. The Anan manager, Jen, she has a little joke competition that's been going on for the last couple of years at Anan, which is called the Anan Bear Awards, similar to Fat Bear Week. But she has different awards for different bear behaviors and some of our favorite bears. And Arrow actually won last year for best attendance because he was the bear that came on site almost every single day that there was recordings of bear sighting. Well, there's bear sightings almost every day, but he was the most highly attended or bear that had the highest attendance. So he is very active, and even though people are a little wary because he limps and he's, had his days, he's definitely shows the true testament of like perseverance and resilience. So even though some visitors feel sorry for him, I would never discount him. He's a strong one, and he's pretty fun to watch, and you get pretty excited year after year knowing that he's most likely gonna be there. And then the last fun story, or last fun, pretty popular bear that lots of visitors and everyone alike always is excited to see. It's probably is definitely my favorite bear, and that would be Twerp. Twerp got her name very obvious. She earned her name very well. She is a black bear, and she's black bear cub when we first gave her name. Most black bear cubs only stay with their mom one summer season and are usually get kicked out by the spring. But Twerp was very persistent, and she continued to stay with her mother no matter how hard her mother tried to make her leave. And she stuck around for 3 summers, so longer than her mom probably hoped. Her mom is also a very common visitor at the creek. Her mom is named Wolverine, a black bear as well. Um, but Twerp will always come back to that same site as her mom, and she is just always so fun to watch. She likes to climb trees, and she's always up to something, lots of energy, and yeah, so fun. And even though she was born in 2019, she actually came back this year with her own cub, which all of the guides and employees the rangers that work at at Anam were a little worried about her motherly instincts, but she's been really surprising everyone, and she's actually become a good mom, even though she didn't really get the message when it was time for her to leave, which is kind of fun. So it's fun to watch her come back every year as well. Always got a lot of energy though.
Well, I look forward to getting to know those individual bears because it does seem like there's a lot of stories of resilience and adaptability,
Mhm.
individuality amongst that group. And you
Mhm.
mentioned, again, that Anan is a very rich landscape, diverse landscape with lots of wildlife. So, final question for you, Claire, is what can we do to help protect habitat for bears and salmon in the Tongass National Forest?
Yeah, I would say the best thing we all can do is continue to be excited about bears and talk about bears in the environment and why they're so important and why Anan is so cool, why it's everything from the watching the bears eat and their behavior to their personalities, all of that, like the more we spread and all get excited about those cool things, the more people care and passion grows. And that is the best way of preserving or conserving that amazing site and in general, bears all over the place in the environment. So just keep on getting excited and talking about it is the best way to keep going.
Yeah, and that's I think a great point to end our conversation on. The more people that are aware of brown bears and salmon and the wonders of places like the Tongass National Forest, the better, in my opinion. Claire, I'd like to thank you for your time joining us today, introducing us a little bit to Anan Creek and its bears. I'm sure we'll be talking to you and other people at Anan Creek in the future to learn more. So thanks so much.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate it.
I do want to thank Claire Froelich again for her time. She is an interpretation and education specialist with Tongass National Forest in Alaska. So with the addition of the Anan Creek cams, you have the opportunity to watch, of course, all three bear species in North America. And right now is the time to watch brown and black bears at Anan Creek, and then of course brown bears in Katmai National Park. In October and November, we'll be able to see polar bears near Churchill, Manitoba. So I'm also looking forward to polar bear season. We did have a bunch of questions come in, Brian, about black bears at Anan Creek. We're going to try to get to, I think, a few of those right now. It's such a beautiful scene. It's really kind of hard to leave this setting. Somebody was wondering about hibernation in bears. They wrote in and said, I hope this isn't a dumb question, but after these bears fatten up, it seems their den would need to be quite large. Do they actually dig a den or find suitable places to hibernate? So with if I'm going to generalize about brown and black bears in North America. It depends on what habitat they're using.
Hmm.
Some bears in forested environments, like you're going to find uh, in Southeast Alaska or along the coast of British Columbia, where there's a lot of big trees, uh, the bears are going to hibernate underneath maybe like the roots of trees. So they're going to excavate, some of them will excavate dens, underneath the roots of trees. Some of them will find hollow tree cavities to nest inside. So
Hmm.
hollow trees can be a really important habitat for them to hibernate in the wintertime. Other parts of North America, bears are going to be doing different things. Like in Katmai National Park, they're going to be excavating a den in a hillside. So they're not going to be reliant on trees for hibernation habitat. They're just going to be digging a big hole in the earth. And yeah, they do have to be quite big sometimes for the bears to crawl into. Some of the bear dens I've seen in Katmai were quite large, and I could easily squat down within them and have plenty of headroom for myself. Somebody was wondering about viewing platforms at Anan Creek. They wrote in and said, I am curious if there are platforms for viewing at Anan Creek. Is there a number restriction like there is at the Falls platform at Brooks Falls? I don't know about the number thing. The Falls platform at Brooks Falls only holds about 40 people at a time, and Anan Creek doesn't get nearly the number of people visiting as Brooks Falls. But there is a wildlife viewing platform there. There's a developed trails, and you do meet staff for the Forest Service there when you happen to visit. There's also a public use cabin that you can reserve as well. It looks like I've never been there, but it's on my bucket list now. It looks like an amazing
Yeah, definitely.
experience. Yeah, so maybe Brian will have to go there one day and hang out for a few days, getting to know Twerp and some of these other bears. Couple more questions, yeah, about black bears real quick. Will these bears at Anan have numbers and names like Katmai? They do get nicknames at Anan Creek. I don't think they're numbered officially though, so I think we're going to be knowing them more about through their nicknames. The staff at the Forest Service at Anan Creek have a slightly different policy for nicknames. At Katmai National Park, they tend to shy away from nicknames, even though they do give their bears names. But at Anan Creek, it seems like they're more open to that. And then somebody was wondering, are there any white black bears? There are. We won't see them at Anan Creek though, but in coastal British Columbia, there's a few watersheds that have what are called spirit bears or Kermode bears. Those are bears that have a genetic mutation that gives their fur a white color to them. They're not albino; they still have pigment, but some of the bears just don't have black fur. So that's a really cool bear to look up. Just Google Kermode bear or spirit bear. You'll get some really great images of those really beautiful bears. And then a couple more questions real quick before we move on. How big can a black bear get? Depends also on their habitat. Some black bears will start to reproduce when they weigh less than 200 pounds in like in the Sierra Nevada. But in parts of actually the Appalachians, that's probably where you're going to find the biggest black bears. Like in Pennsylvania, for instance, some of the black bears there have been known to reach more than 800 pounds or so. So getting really fat on acorns, maybe some garbage too, unfortunately. But yeah, if you have a lot of food, you can get really big as a black bear. And then finally, you heard Claire mention the awards and the superlatives for the black bears at Anan Creek. I think you want to check the comments for updates about that on the comments on Exploded.org of the Anan Creek camps for that in the future. So so there's a bunch of questions coming in about the Anan Creek camps. Thanks everyone for their questions. We have a lot more to talk about though on More to Explore because 900 miles to the west of Anan Creek, brown bears in Katmai National Park continue their efforts to get fat before winter arrives. And one of the most iconic images of these bears is a bear standing on the lip of the falls and catching a leaping salmon in its mouth. Bears make it look so easy when they catch salmon on the lip of the falls. And imagine yourself placed in the same situation. You're on the edge of the waterfall, the footing is slippery, you're immensely hungry, you have to jockey for position, maybe worry about someone else displacing you from the fishing spot, and then someone throws a 5-pound fish at your face. Could you make the catch? Whenever a bear catches a leaping salmon in its mouth, it's a feat of strength and skill and coordination. It's as if someone threw a 5-pound bag of flour at your face and you were expected to catch it with your teeth. So, with all that being said, let's take a moment to look at some of this summer's best catches so far. every catch that a bear makes is a mark of success for that individual. Success for wildlife is measured in many ways, though. We've been talking a lot about bears during the majority of our program so far, but we do have some other stories to talk about on explore.org. All across the northern half of North America, young birds are leaving the refuge of their nests where they hatched to explore the wider world for the first time. So, and that is a mark of success for them and the parents. So on Seal Island in the Gulf of Maine, a puffling recently became a puffin. So let's revisit Amma's journey, which began in early May. Longtime puffin burrow residents Willie and Millie returned to Seal Island National Wildlife Refuge, where staff from the Audubon Society's Seabird Institute track and monitors nesting seabird populations. So this is in the Gulf of Maine in the Atlantic Ocean. The staff with the Seabird Institute confirmed an egg in Willie and Millie's burrow on May 9. There was a time, though, when we were unsure if the egg would hatch or whether Willie and Millie would retain possession of their burrow. An interloping puffin challenged Willie and Millie for the burrow. And at one point, the invaders seemed to displace the residents and they pushed the egg out of the nest. But Willie and Millie returned. They were able to roll their egg back in and safely incubate it. Amma hatched on June 12 and grew rapidly on a steady diet of small fish. Although Willie and Millie claimed the burrow even though Willie and Millie claimed the burrow and had a chick to protect within it, the intruders continued to challenge their ownership. At one point, Amma even felt the need to defend her space from interloping puffins. And puffins, all this really taught me that they had to work for their success. Sometimes they have to fight for what is theirs, and success doesn't always come easily for them. And it was through their hard work, the dedication of the parents, really all of that effort was to give Amma the opportunity to succeed on her own. Amma fledged in the darkness of the early morning hours on July 24. After leaving the natal burrow, young puffins do not receive any parental care. Amma and her parents faced adversity to get Amma to this stage. Now Amma's ability to learn and use her instincts will be the factors that determine whether she can survive on her own. And this is him or her. We don't know the sex of this bird, I don't think, moving out of burrow 59 and into the wider world. So congrats to Amma and her parents, Willie and Millie. And of course, good luck, Amma, out on the open ocean.
It's such an incredible story seeing that. And we have just a couple more birds left for Egg Watch.
Yeah, as the nesting season in North America winds down, we have fewer and fewer birds on our nest cams to take a look at, but still some really incredible stories and scenes to take in. Again, the alligator and spoonbill cam, the wading birds in the nesting trees are really continue to be really active there. So there's still some near to fledge herons and egrets in the trees there that you can check out. And then in Charlo, Montana, we're still watching the osprey nest there. Charlie and Lola, the parents, are doing well provisioning their single osprey chick. There were 3 chicks in the nest, 3 chicks that hatched, but 2 of them fell out of the nest, unfortunately, and didn't survive the fall. So just 1 chick remaining in the nest right now. The good news is, though, that this chick is very close to fledging right now. So we're on fledge watch for the chick that is known as C16. The birds there, the chicks are just kind of numbered sequentially. So C stands for Charlo, and 16 is the 16th chick in that nest. Osprey will fledge from the nest when they are about 55 to 60 days old. C16 is about 54 to 55 days old today on, what is today? August 5th. So osprey from this nest take a little more time than average to fledge. So we may not see a fledge, today or tomorrow, or maybe even by the end of the week, but certainly I think by next week. So if you want to see that moment of freedom for the bird, tune into that cam. I think that'll be a really wonderful sight to see.
Awesome. Very cool. And also, what we wanted to talk about today is talk about some of the cams that you don't want to miss. So let's check out some of the primetime cams now on Explorers, starting with Beluga Boat. Like, look at this incredible footage that we've been getting this last week.
Yeah, that is just amazing. You're not going to find footage of beluga whales like that anywhere else. So these cameras that we want to highlight real quick, these are cams that are highly seasonal during the summertime. So you want to tune in before the season for them happens to end. Uh, in Beluga Boat, it's one of the most unique cameras I think that we have on Explore.org. Every summer, more than 50,000 beluga whales travel to the Churchill River estuary in Manitoba. And Beluga Boat, through our partner with Polar Bears International, they take daily excursions into the estuary to provide some of the best live video and audio of beluga whales that you'll find anywhere. This week, the tours start late morning Eastern time. I believe you can check the schedule by going to the Beluga Boat cams on Explore.org and looking at the featured comments there. Then sticking with marine mammals on the coast of British Columbia at Orca Lab, we can observe and study the unique culture of northern resident orca whales. Watch for pods to swim by the cameras and socialize. The underwater cam at the Strider Rubbing Beach captures footage of orcas rubbing their bodies on the smooth cobbles of the submerged beach. There's also a chance to see other marine mammals like sea lions and humpback whales there. Going further north, back up into Alaska, we can have the opportunity still to watch Pacific walrus. As many as 14,000 Pacific walrus use Round Island as a haul out to rest during the spring and summer when there's no sea ice in Bristol Bay or the Bering Sea. Sometimes there are few walrus on the cams. The colony might be out on long distance foraging trips. At other times, you'll tune in and it looks like the entire beach is just covered in walruses. Like there's no rock, there's just blubber there. There's a limited time, I think, remaining for this cam. It usually is turned off for the year when the staff of the Alaska Department of Fish and Game leave the island at the end of their work season. So watch now before the walruses disappear into the vast wilderness of the Bering Sea. We talked about bears earlier, brown bear cams in Katmai National Park viewing through October. So still plenty of time to watch the brown bears in Katmai. But in Anan Creek cams in Tongass National Forest, the prime viewing time is in August. We heard Claire tell us about that, but if somebody was wondering about that in a question, when is the season for the Anan Creek cams? It's really prime time is August, late July and early August for them. So check it out right now. And then one other primetime cam to look at right now, Bracken Cave in Texas. It's home to the world's largest bat colony with approximately 20 million bats living there during the peak of the season. The cave is primarily a maternity colony for female Mexican free-tailed bats. So they go there, they give birth to their pups, and the cave is a giant incubator and nursery roost for bat pups. The bats are always present at the caves year-round, but bats born this year are flying away and dispersing. So check it out before they are gone. Still some amazing bat scenes to check out.
Yep. So many camps to check out and so many live events happening as well. And starting off the week, as we mentioned, the Beluga Boat Tours is happening each day this week. So you can subscribe to the live events calendar or check out the Beluga Boat pages to see their schedule. Coming up tomorrow, Tuesday morning, we have the AfriCam show, which if you feel like going on a virtual live safari, join us for that. And then, Tuesday afternoon, we have a play-by-play mic that you will be hosting. And then Wednesday, we have a live chat about bear language. And then Thursday morning, we're coming back to the Wild Moment show to show all the best highlights for the AfriCam cameras. And it's not on here, but Thursday afternoon, 4 p.m. Pacific, we will have a Brown Bears Q&A chat on the YouTube on the Brooks Falls cam. And if you want to see some of the best highlights that we've seen today, definitely follow us on your favorite social media channel, including our main YouTube channel, Explore Live Nature Cams, where you can see our latest video of a bunch of bears seen on the underwater salmon cam. But Mike, as far as following us on social medias, how else can people get involved with Explore.org?
Well, we're looking for volunteer camera operators and moderators. So if you think you might have a few hours per week to help us in those tasks, please go to explore.org/volunteer, fill out the form there. We'll get back to you with more information. And thanks to all of our moderators and volunteers, camera operators who work so hard to make the experience on explore.org a great one.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. I know we went a little over today. We're going to leave you with some highlights of the new cams. I want to give a special thank you to my co-host, Mike Fitz, and a special thank you to all of our moderators and camera operators. And join us again in 2 weeks, same time, Monday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, for another episode of More to Explore. And until then, happy exploring.